Our favorite comment to the fans when theorizing about Deceit was, you can theorize and guess the ending all you want, but in the end, it won't matter. Welcome to the stream! Hi, everybody!
Welcome, everybody!
As you probably know, if you've been to the Revolt stream or heard us talking in the not Deceit, oh my, I can't speak, the Midori Magica server. I'm Ekho, and
I am Petals.
And we are the Midori Magica part Midori Magica team.
We are so very excited to be here today and talk to you all about
Deceit.
Yay!
Midori Magica is if for some reason you're here and you don't know what Midori Magica is, it's essentially a fanfiction project of the anime Puella Magi Midori Magica that was started. When was it started? Like back in 2017?
Yeah, 2017 is when we started Foresight.
Yeah. So it's been going for a while now. And Deceit, the last chapter of Deceit just posted today. So
yep.
We are doing, similarly to the end of Revolt, we're doing a review stream for Deceit.
Yep, for those who don't know, the two main authors for Midori Magica Deceit was Ekho and Ned, so this is a big accomplishment. Round of applause for Ekho! Congratulations
Yay.
on completing your book!
Yay! I still have one more after this, but yay!
Yep. How's it feel?
Really weird. It's been a long ride. I feel like I've learned a lot with this book, and I feel like after doing this book, it's gonna just make Ia de la Luna an even better release now that I know how to do it. Yeah.
That's sweet. Alright. So,
warning about, yeah.
Warning, my computer's a little flaky and old and could overheat at any point. I have a backup computer beside me in case of emergencies, so if we go under for any reason, just hang tight and we should be back up shortly.
Yeah.
The only other warning we have is if you're talking in the chat, there's about 10 to 20 second delay from when you chat, or from when we're talking now to when you receive it. So if you type a comment or a question in the chat, we'll probably answer it immediately, or at least like acknowledge it, but you won't hear that for another 20 seconds. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else we need to do before we move on?
I don't believe so. I guess we could talk about the agenda a little bit, but...
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Take the wheel.
So we've already done the intros, of course. That was this slide. Generally, what you're gonna... If you look on the little agenda thing on the side of the screen, that's generally our schedule. We're gonna talk about an official art segment. We're gonna have a segment just to talk about Imogen's Witch. Frequently asked questions, a Q&A section, so if you asked any questions on Toy House or in the server or on Scratch, this is where they're going to be answered. And then we have at the end of the stream some very special announcements, so make sure you stick around for as long as you can in order to catch those. And even if you miss them, they will be posted, other places, so don't feel like you're missing out on a huge thing if you don't stay till the end of the stream. You'll be able to hear the announcements elsewhere, but yeah.
Yep.
Warning in advance too, I am very bad with talking, so if I stumble over my words a lot.
Don't worry about it. I did the same thing for Revolt, and if we had done one for Foresight, I would have done the same thing for Foresight. We do want to acknowledge a warning. It's across the top of the screen. It's rolling across the screen, but I just thought I'd say it. We do talk about spoilers for Midori Magica Revolt and Deceit, so if you haven't read those, go read them. And we also may be touching some sensitive topics for the LGBTQ plus community. So please be aware that we're doing this with care. We've thought this through. We mean no harm to any of the communities, but we really, really, really want to talk about some of these things.
Yeah.
Are we ready?
Yes.
All right, next slide, here we come. I love
So,
these.
the first thing I want to talk about for the official art segment is the evolution of our beloved Imogen's design. Imogen was my very, very first Madoka Magica OC, and she's been through a lot, as you could tell with the art on the screen. She's had a number of different references before her official one in 2021. And if you look on the far right at her 2017 design, she used to look a good bit different. Her soul gem used to be silver and shaped more like a fin, like you'd see on the Sydney Opera House. There were some design elements that were definitely changed, such as her shirt got an upgrade.
Yep.
Her hat changed a bit. But like I know a lot of people really like Imogen's design and her character, so I wanted to make sure that I showed all of her old references and the progress I went through making her design.
Yeah, I must definitely say, I absolutely love the flip up on her skirt. I'm so glad you kept that throughout.
Oh yeah, the little fire flip-ups.
It's so cute. I also must say, probably my favorite change that you made is the soul gem going to the red and more like the compass rose.
Oh yeah, the soul gem change was necessary.
It's such a clever change with her with her wish, and just it's much suiting to her.
Yeah. I remember Ned talking to me about her soul gem, and she was confused as to like what the original soul gem was supposed to be. She was like, "Oh, is it supposed to be a shark fin? Is it like what is it supposed to be?" And I feel like that was kind of the kick I needed to make it a little bit more recognizable.
Yep.
As you know, because originally my original thought was, "Oh, she's from Australia. Let's make it a fin like on the Sydney Opera House to kind of represent that Australia." But then like I realized Compass Rose is way more fitting to her wish, and after designing a couple more magical girls after her, I kind of got that experience and was a little bit better at doing fitting soul gems and fitting outfits.
Yeah, I definitely love what you did, and even the boomerang shape changed.
Yeah,
Such
I was very bad at drawing boomerangs in 2017. Cameron says, "Dang, you've improved a lot since 2018." Thank you. I try. Yeah, my style used to be a lot different.
You've definitely come a very long way.
And so has Emmy.
Emmy!
Probably one of the most well-loved characters in Midori Magica, honestly. Like not trying to like toot my own horn or anything about her,
I see
but
how it is. Okay.
no, I mean a lot of people like I got such a huge positive response for Imogen. I was not expecting it. Right?
I'm gonna admit, when she started biting into her ice cream, I immediately fell in love with her. How can you not love her? Very, very much. I very much see why she's possibly one of the most loved characters, and probably the most loved character in Deceit.
Yeah, oh, definitely the most loved character in Deceit.
100%.
I think she's probably right up there in popularity with Ritsu.
Yeah.
People love our pigtailed characters, what can I say?
Our red-themed pigtail girls.
I really like the shade of red on her gem. Oh, thank you.
So,
Clever origins on her original soul gem shape, though. Yeah, I don't think I designed her with her wish in mind. I think I just designed her to design her at first. I remember my inspiration for her being Australian. I was like, oh, I want to make a magical girl, but I don't want to just make it like American or like something basic. I want to do something cool. So I was like, what if I did Australia?
That's so creative. I love that. I always love how you come up with cool symbols for your soul gems.
Petals. Oh, never mind. Never mind. It's back. Okay. The fan stopped working for a second. I was like, why?
You're good. You're good. We're all good.
Okay. But yeah, there you go. Evolution of Emmy.
Yay! Sweet baby.
Everybody in the chat saying she's simply too cool. Yes, I love Emmy. Imogen is best girl.
Emiya's best girl confirmed. Must admit. Anything else you want to talk about before we move on?
I don't believe so.
Alright, then I'm gonna hit the next slide. You ready?
Yep.
Boop!
So more on Imogen's design. Originally, she was supposed to have a second outfit, kind of, that was present just for the entire, like, April Fool's outing they did, where they got the friendship bracelets and dressed up Misty, and all that. I believe it spanned from chapters 9 to 13 in the book. But originally she was meant to have a second outfit during that time, but I scrapped it for continuity purposes. Just so that, like, there wasn't too many different outfits to keep track of for her. Again, very old art. But I wanted to kind of bring this up and show that she did used to have a bit more of a wardrobe.
Yeah.
But
I love what the
now,
chat says.
oh yeah. Now she just wears the jacket. Yeah, no bow on Haruka. Yeah, I didn't draw the head bow as big on that. Because originally the bow on the back of her head was very small.
Yeah, it progressed.
Yeah, but Petals bluffed it up on her
Yeah,
reference.
I have a tendency to use incredibly big shapes, so anytime I'm giving something small, it accidentally becomes big. Sorry.
I love her in a single ponytail. It looks so good. Can I draw it at some time? Is it too outdated? You can draw her with the ponytail. Yeah, that's fine.
It's suiting to her. I love them. They're so sweet. And hey, look, they're happy on a bench.
Yeah. Yeah, the bench that was the first time I ever drew the park bench.
Most important Midori Magica Deceit character, the bench. Confirmed. Alright. Is there anything else you'd like to say about this one?
I don't believe so.
Yeah. Alright, then I'm gonna hit the next button.
Okay.
Ah, this one.
Yeah, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was the inspiration for the 13th chapter art. Ned made a drawing a while back of Haruka in her cat form with her little paw up against her face, kind of representing the kiss on the cheek from chapter 13. And when I was thinking about the chapter art and like what to do for each chapter, this drawing by Ned came to mind for the 13th one. So I, recreated it a little bit for the chapter art.
So
And in human form, obviously, but I wanted to kind of bring this comparison.
it's so sweet. I really think that's a nice gesture to Ned.
Yeah. I tried to incorporate her canon art and everything.
I think you did a lovely job.
Why are people shipping the bench from Deceit and the pole from the side stories? Stop.
We're gonna have to make Toy House accounts for the bench and the pole. Oh my gosh, please no. I don't want to have to come up with ship names for the pole and the bench. Oh gosh. What have we done? I'm so sorry.
Someone pull Let's Camcorder as bench.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no, why are you guys being so cursed?
All right. Anything else you want to talk about this?
I don't think so.
I do like how you made sure to put the bracelet on here.
Oh
Before
yeah, funny story about that. I almost forgot the bracelet.
Really?
I had to edit the bracelet on after, like, but right before, um, like when Petals and I were doing our editing call for this chapter, I realized I didn't have the bracelet on her wrist,
Oh no.
so I made sure to add that because she had it at the time. I was I was like, oh no, I need to put this on.
I think you did a good job. It looks like it was there the whole time.
Okay,
You little
good.
sneaky.
Yeah, I had to edit that on.
Nicely done. No one can tell. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Next slide. Bloop. Ah, yes. Look at that improvement.
Yeah. Yeah, some art improvement for you guys.
Mm.
For those of you who've seen my circles map part, which I will be talking about a little bit later, there's one of the frames from the circles map part inspired I believe that's the 20th chapter art. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure what else to say. Again, you can see the friendship bracelet on. I didn't forget at that time.
I really like how one thing that I really wanted to note was your background.
Yeah.
I love how you changed it from like a solid blur to more of like this beautiful watercolor that really blends.
Yeah. For the map part, I did have a bit of a palette for backgrounds, so I tried to keep it sort of simple. Plus, I was also working with a decently short deadline.
Yep.
Aw, everybody in chat saying, sure is one heck of an improvement. Thank you.
That's a glow up.
Yeah. Plus, you can actually see her eyes on the second one.
I love the tears, like how they glow.
Yeah.
And you got the bracelet!
Yeah, I got the bracelet. I made sure not to forget the bracelet.
Hooray! I really like the detail on the dress, how much more flowy it is. As
Yeah.
well as the shirt in the second one. And I love how you do the bow where it's pulling back her hair.
Atmosphere is key and you unlock the door. Oh, thank you.
Aww. Alright, anything else you want to mention?
I don't think so. Not for that one.
And don't feel like I'm rushing you at all. We can take as long as we want on every single one.
No, it's okay. Nah. I think I'm good.
Okie dokie. Amazing work with that improvement, girlfriend.
Yeah, 1 year. About 1 year of improvement. Just goes to show that anybody can do it if they try.
We are officially onto the Circles Map PMV slide.
Your hair shading style went new through the roof. Thank you.
I
Yeah.
second that.
So we're not going to watch this on stream because I assume that most of you have already seen it, because there was a really big, like, object of like theorizing and everything for a lot of the fans. So I'm just going to go through and
Pause though. If you haven't seen it, it is in the description of this video down in the Deceit links. So you can go look at that. It's like an 8-second little video, or you can watch the full map. Just that I mentioned.
Yeah. So I just want to quickly go through and explain the reasoning behind each slide, just to kind of like clear up any theories or any like confusion that may have arisen from the different slides.
Sounds good.
So if you look at the very far left with the little chibi Haruka and Imogen, I mean, this is all pretty straightforward, but of course we have the two of them being happy, and then it just kind of goes to Imogen's hat, kind of representing her,
Fall.
death. Ekho tricked me into thinking the witch was symbolic.
We do that.
And then of course we have, because every second, like, that's Haruka running through the woods. In the 20th chapter, and then this feels like heck.
Whoops.
Imogen Imogen's descent. That's kind of representing her, sitting on her bed trying to process all of it after she gets the news about Xavier. And then, are these words that you gave me real? That's just you can see. On are these words are these words that you gave me? Her soul gem is really black, which is kind of excuse me. Ugh.
Water.
Kind of supposed to represent right before her, transition into a witch. And then with the armor, of course, we have Matilda. There are two ways that I draw Matilda. I'll draw her. Sometimes I'll draw her without her helmet, just because I'm lazy.
I feel that.
Yeah, Luna, you could say it's kind of like a topple design. The witch itself doesn't actually have a face underneath its helmet. It's just like kind of like black void in there.
Yep.
But sometimes I'll draw Matilda with like Imogen's face with the colored paint running down from her eyes.
Yep.
So kind of more like a doppel design. Just because I'm sometimes too lazy to draw the helmet.
That's a mood.
I originally thought when she was sitting in her own room that she had gone to jail or something and wasn't allowed to leave. No, that's just her trying to cope with it.
In a sense, you could even feel like she feels like she's in jail. So
Yeah.
I guess it really portrays that.
Yeah.
What's the runes in the background of it, Ekho?
Oh yeah, the runes in the background of the Matilda frame. They're only there for half a second, so it's really hard to catch, but they are the lyrics to Waltzing Matilda. The song that Imogen sang in the Labyrinth in the very first chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you may have heard it. Some of you may not have heard it. I would highly suggest going and if you just look up like Waltzing Matilda in the YouTube search, I'm sure you'll find like some kind of song for it.
What's the importance or significance of that song?
Should I explain that now or should I wait?
That's a good question. We can hold on to that if you'd like.
Yeah, let's hold on to that.
Sounds good.
That's what I thought too at the Trapped in the Room. I thought Amy's parents said no to the lesbians. Yeah, I'm gonna go over that in a bit about how Imogen's parents would have reacted. But for now,
I think that wraps up the circles map. I think you did a lovely job covering every single section. Very nice.
Hooray!
I still love that map.
Yeah, I'm very proud of it. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, next slide.
Next slide is another big topic of theorizing in the fans, which is my baby hotline PMV from scratch. And I believe that's in the description of the video as well, if you want to go and watch that.
Yep, we have it down below. I think it's the very last link in the Deceit links, so check it out if you haven't.
And even if it's not down there, if you just go to my scratch profile, Gladys10,
yep.
You'll be able to find it. It's still up.
Yep.
This one is far less straightforward than the circles map. It's a lot of it is just like interpretation, right?
Yep.
I know that specifically people, if you look at the top row far right with Haruka reaching out, yeah, the vines. A lot of people were theorizing about the vines and that it was some kind of plant witch, but in reality, it's kind of just supposed to be a symbolic representation of Haruka being dragged into the labyrinth and away from Imogen.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be less of like a vine and more of just like some kind of like grabby tentacle thing, right? And just kind of grabbing her and pulling her in.
See, guys, sometimes we do symbolic.
Yeah, it's not always straightforward. I mean, the rest of the map part is pretty self-explanatory. We have Haruka, all happy, and then crying with the soul gem in the background. Imogen, all happy, and then the X over her face. A lot of people were also theorizing about the line over her neck, but that was just supposed to be another, like, symbolic, oh yeah, she's dead.
Bye.
Like, you know how people, when they indicate like you're going to die or something, they'll like draw the line across their neck with their thumb.
Yep.
Right? To indicate like you're dead. Right?
Yep.
So um having tentacle things, not my beloved.
Great, now all the comments are just tentacles.
See, at the time I wrote Deceit, I wasn't aware of that whole subtext. But I mean, it's crazy what kind of subtext people get things. Anyway, yeah, you can interpret it however you want. It was supposed to be kind of just like a heart is being like grabbed and pulled away from, you know, Imogen, right?
I always
Kinda
kind
being-
of saw it as like her being pulled from,
Yeah.
like pulled back into reality away from.
Yeah. It can be interpreted in a bunch of different ways, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we have, of course, the flowers at the bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah.
Aw, so happy.
And then of course we have Haruka on the bench, and then Haruka and Imogen on the bench, and then just Haruka.
Oh, so happy.
Oh, not happy anymore.
That's basically like our motto. Happy, not happy.
Yeah.
Alright. I also like the dull color palette you chose.
Oh yeah. I used a like palette generator for that.
Ah.
I just was using a palette generator and I saw that when I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I'll use that.
Sounds good.
Yeah. The last frame for the baby hotline animation looks so aesthetic, desktop background worthy. Aw.
Aww.
I tried. It's very old art. I drew this with a mouse, guys.
I do highly recommend, for anyone who hasn't seen it, the timing on this and the effects it gives with the music. It like gives you chills. So if you haven't seen it, even though you're seeing the frames here, you should go see it, because with the music and the timing and everything, it like shakes you.
Yeah. If anybody's heard the song Baby Hotline by Jack Stauber, I'm sure you have. It's a pretty well-known, or at least I think it's a pretty well-known song.
Yeah, I'd say so.
A lot of animation memes for it. There's like, it'll do a lyric and then give like a static
Yeah.
for half a second, and then give another lyric, and then give static again. And on the static parts is when I did the black white lines,
Yep.
like the alternate versions of each frame, and there is a static GIF that goes. So I know you're just seeing the frames here, but like it does move in the actual PNB.
Everyone's talking about how you drew it with a mouse.
Yeah, I drew with the mouse until like very, very late 2019. The first time I used an art tablet was like December of 2019.
That's so impressive.
Yeah.
How did you live?
I don't know, honestly. At this rate, like, using an art tablet has, like, really helped a lot.
I can't imagine how.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell with just the art improvement and everything that I've shown a little bit of on the stream. It's just, man.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for this art tablet.
Alright. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about for the Baby Hotline PMV?
I don't think so.
Very nicely done. Again, check it out if you haven't. So good. Alright, next slide.
Yep.
Ah!
Very, very special official art release for the end of Deceit.
This one I made. Would you mind if I explained it a little bit?
Go right ahead.
Alright, so this is an art piece that we, both Ekho and I, had been wanting to do for a while. We had been like talking about it, like, oh, this would be a really cool idea. We consider Ritsu to be an antagonist on the grounds that when you think about it, an antagonist is somebody who gets in the way of the protagonist and gets in the way of the plot. In this case, Ritsu goes against Haruka's wishes, despite knowing it's wrong, knowing that she should not take away people's memories, and she does it anyway. And she completely erases the entire plot of Deceit. If that's not an antagonist, I don't know what is. So here she is with the other quote-unquote antagonists of our stories.
This drawing will be posted on Toy House.
Yep.
At the end of the stream, I'll probably have Petals upload it. Since most of her characters are in it. Like, I mean, mine is there, but I feel like Petals should be the one to upload this.
Yeah, I own 2 of the characters in this.
Mm-hmm.
Ned owns 2, and you own 1.
Yep. So Ritsu has come over to the dark side. Yep. She does it. She didn't want to, but
she kind of.
She's here.
Her hand was forced. Yep.
Yep.
Alright, and I know we'll be talking more about Ritsu's actions later, so I think that's really all I have to say about this art piece. How about you?
Yeah, I think so.
Feel free to translate the runes.
Yep.
But I mean, I'm not gonna do it for you.
Yeah, you gotta translate it yourself.
Aw, thank you.
Charlotte looking low-key kind of pretty, though.
Thank you. She is really pretty. I love her.
Yeah. Xenia, I spy Xenia. Yep, Xenia's there.
Yep.
All you Xenia simps, come get your food.
Yep. Just goes to show you, though, we consider all kinds of people and things to be antagonistic.
Yep.
All right.
Charlotte looking fine, Jomikro says.
True, though. Oh my gosh, imagine if the runes would just rickroll. That does sound like something I would do, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. You're gonna have to translate it to find out.
Yeah, you'll never know what it says. Sorry, unless you translate it. My mom saw the art piece. She looked at it and she went, "What's up with the pink girl? What is she not like? Is she not wearing? Is there something wrong with her? Also, does the blue one not have a butt?" And I'm like, Mom. She's not wrong.
Okay, entertain chat. I will be right back.
Sounds good. It is now time for that part of the stream where we do ASMR with Petals. I hope you all have been enjoying the stream so far. I could go on and on about this art piece, to be honest. The shading killed me, and fun fact, Adobe Animate died halfway through lining Charlotte, Ritsu, and Gozo, which were the first 3 that I lined. And so it started doing this awful thing where when I draw a line, despite having smoothness up to 100%, it just scribble all over the place. So, one thing that I had to do, I had to use, like, the line tools to line half of this. Like, so Xenia and Jewel were both lined with the line tools. So not fair. It added so much time to it, unnecessarily. It's ridiculous. Okay, everybody wants Petals ASMR. Well, the problem with having Petals ASMR is I know that people will record it and take it out of context and then host a map to it, because that's what you guys do. I once did a song about reading the rules to enter a contest for Midori Magica, and people literally took the song that I wrote and hosted a map to it. So I know how you people are. But I guess we could do a little bit of an ASMR just for you guys. This is the microphone and my fingers. Did you feel my finger? already talking about Petals ASMR map. I hate you guys sometimes. I love you all. Well, what would be the what all would I have to say in order to make it be the best map ever? Oh, I've got this is Skyline crackers from Skyline. Are you enjoying the ASMR? I don't even know if you guys can hear me at all. This is a chain. Now I'm going to make random clicking noises with my mouth. Now I'm going to rub random things against the microphone and have you guys guess what on earth it is. I hope you enjoyed that one. You have 3 seconds to guess what it is. It was a water bottle. You all failed me. Alright. I'm going to try something else.
Okay, I'm back to stop Petals from doing whatever crazy thing she's doing right now. Hi.
They're all gonna make an ASMR map now with Petals.
I don't know. What all did you even do? I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it.
Oh, don't worry. There'll be a map later. You can join it later. Alright. I think we're done with the Charlotte slide.
Yeah.
I hope you all have nightmares with Gozo's face. Alright. Next slide.
Yeah. Ekho's gonna come back and be confused out of her mind. Yeah.
Oh, yes. This
I just came back to hear scratching.
Just we do fun things on stream. Alright. We are on to the next slide.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the title. Yay! I guess I'll go ahead and pull it up. So I'll also hit share. Please ignore my notification number. Warning to all headphone users, and also anyone who's doing has their audio blasted into their house. You all have been warned. Anything we want to say before we do this?
No.
Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and mute myself for this part. Alright, here we go. Please enjoy a masterpiece that I spawned at probably 3 in the morning sometime. You're welcome. Always a great masterpiece to watch Amy the Explorer. And now it's finally public.
Yay.
When did I make this?
You made that for me Christmas of last year.
Oh my goodness.
Definitely one of the best gifts you've made me.
Oh, I'm so glad.
No, why is this well made?
I just remember seeing on Toy House just the word likes to explore. And I was immediately like, and I know what I have to do. Goes back to the PowerPoint.
There you go. And that is public on Petals' side account.
Yeah.
If you want to watch it,
you're also free to go and like check out what some of the slides say because it's funny. Like can I say what Imogen's phone says?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it says I can't remember correctly, but I think it says like, "Lol, your brother's dead. Also, your phone's a walkie-talkie."
Yeah.
I love that so much. Alright, anything else we want to talk about Imi the Explorer?
I don't think so.
It is canon. Imogen is now the Explorer.
Dora!
Dora! Alright. You ready for the next slide?
Yes, I believe with that we're on to our next segment altogether.
Alright. You are right. We have moved on to our next segment. Would you like to talk about this slide?
So we are now out of the official art segment and on to the segment where I ramble about Matilda. Or the Witch of Travel. Gosh, when did I design her? I think I first designed her like way back in like 2018. And her reference was a lot more confusing to understand. I was not that good at making reference images back then. But she is this witch. I know her official name is the Witch of Travel, but I'm just gonna call her Matilda.
Yep.
For those of you who haven't translated the runes, her name is Matilda Krieger, or however you pronounce that German word at the end. Krieger, something.
I have no idea.
Yeah. The reason why I named her Matilda was as a even further nod back to the Waltzing Matilda song, which at this point may as well be Imogen's character song. For those of you who haven't heard it, it's an Australian song, I believe.
Yep.
About basically about adventure in the outback. Yep. I'm pretty sure. So I named her Matilda because A, it fit with the whole German vibe of which names. I looked it up. Matilda can be a German name,
Yep.
Or at least I wanted it there. I needed some excuse to use it, right?
Yep.
And then Krieger is the German translation for warrior. Imogen's name, Imogen Knight. I believe Imogen, the name Imogen means like maiden or female warrior of some kind. And Matilda has a similar translation to that. So like the first names match, right?
Yep.
And then I figured the last name Knight, a knight is a kind of like warrior or fighter. So Krieger is German for warrior. So I kind of made the names line up a little bit, right? I don't know if you knew that, Petals.
I don't know that I did.
But that was the intent, to kind of line the names up.
I did want to mention, I totally forgot to put it on a slide, but would you like to mention the border of the poster?
Oh yeah. So with each of the main installment posters, we put a runic border around the edge, which I'm not going to say what the borders for the other posters are in case you haven't translated it for yourself yet. But Deceit's poster, we specifically, instead of putting our usual runic border text, we switched it to be the lyrics for Waltzing Matilda around the border. So we tried to hint back to that song as much as possible, right?
Yep.
As kind of just like a little like theme, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a little hidden Easter egg that continues to reappear.
Yeah. That song and the bench are like the recurring themes of Deceit.
Bench is a character, own it.
But yeah, there's a lot of like little symbolism hints in Matilda's Witch that I just want to cover quickly, if that's all right.
Go for it.
A lot of you probably already immediately noticed the friendship bracelet hanging from her neck. Yes, that is Imogen's friendship bracelet, and yes, it transferred into her witch form when she changed. It's not like a recreation or anything. That is the actual friendship bracelet.
Yeah, I'd see it like witches tend to spawn from your deepest grief. And that bracelet surrounds a lot of the grief that she has.
Yeah. So that is Imogen's actual friendship bracelet. That's not like a recreation. That's her friendship bracelet.
So sad.
Then of course we have the long orange hair, which is meant to also represent Imogen. It's dulled from her original hair color a little bit, but that's kind of another nod back to her magical self. The ripped hat as well is supposed to be a nod back to her. The cape over her shoulders, this wasn't intentional at the beginning, but it kind of nods back to the blanket cape.
Yep.
When Imogen pretended to be a superhero and she wore the blanket cape. So even though it wasn't intended to be that way, I like to think that that's kind of another nod back to Imogen's old life, right? If you look really closely on Matilda's little belt thing, you can see the shape of Imogen's soul gem there. It's not her actual gem, of course, but it's like kind of an impression,
yep.
Or like a like shaped piece of metal.
It's kind of like
stuck
a
on there.
representation.
Yeah, that looks like her little compass rose soul gem.
Yeah.
The paint down her face was originally inspired by like Aboriginal paint. And like I looked up like what Aboriginal paint generally looked like, I guess. And they used a lot of like solid base colors like that. So the markings, as I was designing Matilda, the markings like changed a little bit on her helmet. Like they used to look less like tears, but then when I showed the work in progress to Ned, she was like, why don't you make them look more like actual, painted tears, right?
Yep.
So that also kind of represents grief as well, with the painted tears running down her helmet.
Now I did have a question for you.
Yeah?
About the painted tears. If people were to draw you fan art of Matilda, would you prefer it to be like flat paint or like chunky tear-like paint? Is it
however people want to interpret it.
Ah, got you.
Because there is a moment in chapter 25 where the paint actually like runs and drips down her helmet. I don't know if any of you remember that from reading it, but there is a moment where she's chasing after Haruka, and I'm pretty sure it's when she picks up the friendship bracelet and holds it, right?
Yep.
Picks up Haruka's friendship bracelet and like kind of closes her fist around it, and then she lets out this like really big, just like anguished cry, and then keeps chasing. Right? At that moment, I believe, is when the paint starts to really like run down the helmet and like actually start moving and like drip off.
Perfect.
As if she was actually crying. So you can draw the paint however you want. You can draw it chunky, you can draw it flat. Doesn't matter to me. I like to draw it chunky. I always draw Matilda in watercolor because it gives the like abnormal witch effect more. But you can draw her however you want.
It's shiny.
Yeah. Her reference is on Toy House. So
will you be making her Toy House public?
She's already public.
Oh wow, look at that, guys. She's public. Alright, I will prompt you if you're done talking about this, I will prompt you. You should talk about the sword.
Oh yes, the sword. So the sword is weird.
So cool,
I designed the sword back when I didn't fully understand how gears work.
It's a witch.
So,
it's fine. Witches defy things. It's fine.
Yeah. The sword doesn't really have any logic or reason to it. I still don't fully know, like, how the thing, like, moves to turn into the boomerang, but I imagine it to kind of be like one of those pocket knives, is what it is, where it, like, can flip. How did you describe it, Petals?
I describe it when I read the description of how it works. I imagine that it rotates at where the gear is like a pocket knife.
Yeah, it rotates.
And it comes back in to reveal form the boomerang.
Yeah. It
so cool.
it works weird.
It's such a cool concept, though. It's possibly my favorite part of the design. It's so cool.
It's open to a lot of interpretation on just how the sword works, but I know that it does, like, transform a little into, like, a boomerang-ish shape.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's a weird weapon.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Anything else about Matilda before we move on to more Matilda?
No, I think that's about it.
Oh, you could talk about her posing in the chapter art, if you did want to mention.
Oh, yeah, in the chapter art for chapter 23, sword really went reality can be whatever I want. Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
For the chapter art for chapter 23, which is the image on the right, you can't really see it very well because the runes are in the way, but I kind of tried to draw her like, I always imagine that the blade sort of bends into a boomerang. Yeah, that's how it works. It bends somehow.
Somehow.
Somehow. We don't know how, but somehow. But yeah, in the chapter art, I tried to draw her kind of like kneeling on the ground.
I love that.
Whether, it's like kneeling loyally like a knight or kneeling in defeat, whichever interpretation you want. Whether it's like, you would kneel before a king or a queen, or kneeling at the loss of a battle. However you want to interpret it, she's supposed to be kind of kneeling there.
When I read
with her sword in the ground. No, go ahead.
When I read like this chapter, I always kind of imagine it like when I always imagine things in like movie form, and I hear the music and I'm like, oh wow, intense.
Yeah.
But specifically the kneeling, I imagine like she's spawning and forming, and she's like, it's like one of those statues that's kneeling, and then it comes to life.
Yeah. Ooh. Which, yeah, fun fact, Matilda, chapter 25 specifically, kind of has its own theme song I found.
Oh?
I showed it to Petals. I don't want to talk about this too much, but I have, kind of deemed an unofficial, like, track for chapter 25 that I can always, post in the Discord or something.
Yeah, you want to share the title of it?
Yeah, it's called, what's it called? It's by, Two-Way, so the number 2 and then WEI. It's called Chainsaw Symphony. And I like to imagine that, a song like that is what would play during the events of chapter 25 when Matilda's chasing Ritsu.
Man, I should have thrown in another song into Deceit, the Scratch project. It probably would have crashed the whole entire website. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, our project was already pretty big to begin with. So.
I know, it stopped working on mobile devices at like chapter 9.
Yeah.
Hey, just don't. I'm gonna shout out myself here. If you haven't checked out the Scratch version on Ekho's profile, you totally should, because there's some really cool coding tricks that happen when you click on certain chapters. I'm just saying, cool things happen. It's really cool. Pat yourself on back. Alright, anything on this slide? Anything more?
I think that's about it.
Alright, I'ma hit boop.
Okay, so more Matilda discussion.
Yay!
I specifically wanted to take a minute to talk about just all of the symbolism that I packed into her labyrinth. Because I added so many little tiny nods to different things in the story, and a lot of them people caught on to, but some of them people didn't. So I wanted to kind of bring those up and talk about them. So you'll see there's a lot of text on the screen. I won't read all of it word for word. I just kind of want to go over each little thing and why I did what I did, if that's okay. Okay. So the first thing is the Labyrinth Hallways, which is, basically the main maze part, right?
Yep.
It's described as dark, and little flowers with golden spherical bulbs were decorating the walls, bent over and wilting. I chose that because I looked up, and the national flower of Australia, I think, is this little golden spherical flower. I could be wrong. I could have just completely gotten that wrong, and Google could have lied to me. But
Stupid Google.
From what I read, the national flower is this little golden spherical flower.
And as you're reading, y'all, you should look at the picture on the right because you can see the stuff she's describing.
Yeah. Photographs made the path Haruka was standing on, but the faces of the people were blurred or scratched out to the point that they were unrecognizable. I don't exactly remember why I put that in, but I guess it's kind of a nod to the ending.
Yep.
Yeah. Foreshadowing. Yep. Every so often a broken boomerang would be jutting out of the wall. Of course, Imogen's weapon was boomerang, right? To Haruka's right was a giant map of Australia. No cities or geographical landmarks shown on the map. It was just a brown silhouette of the continent on a red background with a giant slash mark running diagonally across the map. So, a lot of people thought that this map was just as a representation of Imogen's home country, but in reality, this was supposed to be a nod to that scrapped second outfit. Because her tank top was red with a brown silhouette of Australia on it.
I see you.
So that's what it was supposed to be originally, but because that got scrapped, its meaning kind of changed to just be, her home continent. Right?
That's such a cool nod, though.
Yeah. And then, of course, the occasional blob of baking dough. That's to represent Haruka.
Some Cameron says, and also the photograph of
Imogen's brother. Yeah. Which I don't know how many of you caught it, but there's a reason why Xavier's face was blacked out or blocked out on that photograph. That was the chapter art for the 7th chapter, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. So that's just the hallways, right? And if you look at the picture, you can see the boomerangs, the map, the flowers, the photographs on the floor, and the baking dough. I tried to include as much of it as possible in that chapter art.
That's such a cool chapter art.
And then the last labyrinth symbolism thing I want to mention is that door before the main chamber. So, after what felt like no time at all, Haruka was standing in front of the entrance to the labyrinth's central chamber, where the witch was waiting. The room Haruka stood in was small, and the 4 walls around her each looked different from the one next to it. Wilted petals and black cloth made up one of the walls parallel to her. The one across from that was made of what looked like wood and dead leaves, and the wall behind her was decorated with vintage feathers and faded masts. So, each of those walls represents a different witch they fought together. Wilted petals and black cloth is the Witch of Mourning. That's made to represent the Witch of Mourning, the first witch they fought together. Annalise, as you may know her.
The one in the trailer.
Yep. Wood and dead leaves. This witch fight was never described, but if you remember, in the chapter where they hung out at the logging camp, they had just come out of a witch battle, and the witch was like a big tree. So that's kind of what that's supposed to represent. It's a much more minor witch because the fight's never described, but it's there. So I wanted to give a nod to it, right?
Yep.
And then vintage feathers and faded masts is the bitter holes, the bird witch.
Ah.
The one that happened right before everything started going downhill.
The happiness.
And then, of course, the final wall was there was the door. You know, Haruka stood in front of it, but she could hardly even look at it. It was large, spanning almost the entire wall it was on, and the door itself was made of metal. Runes were carved across the top of the door, and colored paint decorated what little of the wall you could see. That's supposed to represent Matilda. Metal door, colored paint. So that's kind of like the walls around her show the different witches they fought together, and then the one directly in front of her with the door on it is the one she sent to face.
Yep. One more to go to complete the circle.
Yep. Alright, I think that's about it on that. Sorry for all the talking.
So sad. It just goes to show you how much effort you and I and Ned would go to make these labyrinths and these stories so symbolic and thoughtful.
Oh, my best labyrinth is still yet to come. My best labyrinth is still coming.
I know. Trust me.
You know which one I'm talking
I
about.
know exactly which one.
Yep, my best labyrinth is still to come.
Alright, you ready for the next one?
Yes, I think we're moving on to our next segment now.
Alright, let me get the bloop. Alright, so we're at the frequently asked question part. I'll read the question, you answer it. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I know we have both frequently asked questions and a Q&A section. I know that there were a lot of things that people would commonly ask about, like plot and characters, that I just wanted to get out of the way before we got to fan questions, to make sure that. Yeah. I love how calculated everything about Matilda is. Yeah, I put a lot of work into Matilda. Someone says for my best labyrinth, they're saying calling it Witch of Tradition.
You'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, you'll have to wait and see. I'm also calling Witch of Tradition.
We'll have to wait and see, won't we? Good guess. We'll have to wait. Shrug. But I do want to take a moment before we go into frequently asked questions. Can we all just admire that bottom right chapter art? Holy cow! That angle, that perspective, that shading, that
Definitely my best chapter art.
Definitely.
In the story.
Gosh. It's the expressions, just the posing. How long did it take you?
3 days.
Jeez. That's so fast for this glorious masterpiece. Applause.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, most of them, as I got quicker at doing it, most of them only took me a day. So a day compared to 3 days, that's a pretty decent amount of extra time.
Yeah. But it's still really fast, like, for how high quality and... Gosh, I love the hair, Sean. Looks so good on Ritsu. Mwah! Forget about Haruka. Forget about Matilda. Ritsu. My character.
Little misbiased over here. No, I'm kidding.
Maybe.
And for those of you who have been, I don't know how many of you, watch me on DA, but all of the chapter arts from 18 to 29 will be posted on DeviantArt today or tomorrow. I've been holding off just to make sure that people didn't accidentally spoil themselves, right?
Yep.
But you can also see all of them on Toy House. So if you're a Scratch reader and you haven't been able to see like the full quality chapter arts, you can look at all of them on their Toy House pages. Yeah.
Very good. You ready for some questions?
Yes.
All right, number 1. How would Imogen's parents have handled the relationship?
So this one is discussed a lot between fans. And this is kind of one of the sensitive topics that we put a warning for. A lot of people have guessed that because Imogen's parents are Christian, they would have handled the news about her liking Haruka very, very badly. Before Chapter 18 took place, a lot of our fans were thinking that the parents would actually react the opposite ways that they did. They thought that because Haruka's parents weren't Christian, didn't have any religious, background to them, that they would be the accepting ones, and Imogen's parents would be the ones to be angry and kick her out of the house and just be pissed, right? But in reality, it's actually the other way around. We know how Haruka's parents reacted. Imogen's parents would have, I like to imagine, they would have had a discussion with her about it so that she knew all of what she was getting into, and she knew, all of the, talk that the Bible has against that, and how that would kind of affect how that like might affect her, right? But they would have been supporting of it. Once they talked it all through with her, once she knew what she was getting into, once she fully understood like the religious side of all this, they would have been supportive. Because like as Christians, they're supposed to love their daughter, right?
Yep.
I don't want to get too far into this, but Imogen's parents would have handled it far better than Haruka's.
I do. If I may I add something?
Yeah.
I do want to take a moment to acknowledge that there are a lot of Christians out there, a lot of Christian parents who don't handle it well and
Yep.
think that, oh, they're not, we raised them wrong, we failed, and they try to shove it down. So there are a lot out there that do hide it. We're not trying to say that, oh, all Christians do it perfectly.
Yeah, no, we're not trying to say that.
That is not true. We're just coming from, my parents are Christian, and my parents they sat me down, they said, now listen, if you're gay and like girls, we still love you. I'm like, thanks. I'm not, but thank you. So we just wanted to acknowledge that just because they're Christian does not mean they're going to accept it, but in this case, Imogen's parents would have handled it much better.
Yep.
If you want to add to that.
Yeah, I think that's about it. I just really wanted to clear that one up specifically because I know a lot of people were expecting Imogen's parents to handle it badly, and they were expecting Haruka's to handle it well, right?
Yep.
So I just wanted to clear up, it is the exact opposite.
Yep.
Haruka's handle it badly, and Imogen's handle it well.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
You ready for the next question?
Yes.
All right, number 2. Is the Haruka-Kate situation cleared?
So, with this one, I hope Deceit was able to clear up a little bit more, because I know some people are still confused. I hope it was able to clear things up a little bit more, but I can't get into this too much, because if you want to know more about Kate and how all of this happened, there's an announcement for that coming soon.
Yep.
So I hope that it's clear to you all of how it happened and how it all went down. But if it's not, just stay tuned. Hopefully your questions will be answered soon.
Yep. Haruka and Kate are 2 different people, and more answers will be coming later.
Yep.
Are you ready for number 3?
Yes.
Why did Haruka's parents react the way they did?
So, I've seen a lot of people being very angry at Haruka's parents.
Yeah, a lot of hostility in the comments.
Yeah. The minute that chapter dropped, everybody was suddenly against Haruka's parents, which, I mean, I can't blame them, and I'm not going to try and defend them with this. But essentially, they were trying to protect their daughter. Right? Yep. They thought, like, in their minds, that sort of path was wrong, and they were essentially, it was like the whole thing you just said, Petals. They were thinking like, did we raise her wrong? What did we do wrong?
Yep.
Right? And they thought that they needed to, how do I explain this? It's a really hard one to explain. Help me out here, Petals.
Sure thing. I think the biggest thing here is it's such a shock and such a surprise to them. They hadn't come to think about it. They hadn't had to think about it. They hadn't had a time to process this as a possible option for their daughter. So when this news came to them, not only were they in shock and unaware of how to handle the situation, they really didn't know what to do. I mean, is there something wrong with her? That's not normal, is it? In their minds, they think of normality and they think, oh, husband and wife. They weren't thinking like, oh, other options, especially now in modern times. They didn't grow up in that era. They weren't used to those options, and now here they are just thrown in front of them suddenly by their daughter. They were more or less thinking, did we do something wrong, and how can we fix it to make it right? They weren't thinking that this could be right, that this could be good. They were thinking something was wrong, and how could they help?
Yeah. And then, of course, when Haruka got kicked out, it was really just, like, spur-of-the-moment angry decision from her father.
The mother regret.
The mother tried to push back. There was one little moment where she was like, wait, but the dad cut her off. It was like a sudden realization. She snuck out. Yeah, she snuck out. They catch her coming back in through the window. They realized that she lied to them, that she said she was going to choose family and she ended up not. And it was it was like a kind of decision blinded by rage, blinded by confusion, right?
They were really hoping that if they put her in a situation where it's family or relationship, she would choose family.
Yeah.
Just thinking, oh, this will fix it. There's no problem, then there's no confusion, then everything's good. But I think the big thing that tipped them off, as you said, is lying, sneaking out behind their back, saying that she did choose them and then didn't. I think that was the tip. It wasn't just the relationship. It was now all of a sudden you chose someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope that kind of clears up the Haruka's parents situation a little bit more.
We aren't defending them.
Yeah, we're not defending them. They could probably take some parenting advice from Imogen's parents.
Yep.
But I hope that clears it up a little bit.
Yep. So that's where they were coming from. You ready for number 4?
And I hope I hope that kind of, changes the minds of the people who were giving death threats to their parents.
Yeah, they weren't the best kicking their underage daughter out on the street, but maybe they don't deserve death threat, shrug. All parents are trying to do their best. It doesn't mean they're good at it. It doesn't mean they're gonna do the right thing. It means they're gonna try.
Yep.
Unless they're Howard Jones. Number 4, are you ready?
Yep.
Is Imogen's witch aware?
No. I don't know. I can't remember if anybody specifically asked this, but I know that it could easily be a topic of confusion. Imogen's witch is not aware. She can think. She can speak in her own language, right? She doesn't speak English like Valkyria Lore and Charlotte's witch did. She speaks in roars, right?
Yep.
So she can talk, but she can't talk in our language, right? Yep. She can think, but it's not a case of, I know that I became a witch. I know that I became a witch, and I'm going, and I can, like, I know that I became a witch, so I can, like, do something to control it, right?
Yeah.
It's not that feeling. It's not like, Like it's not like Matilda knew that she came from a magical girl and she remembers her past, like Valkyria Lore and Charlotte's witch did. No, but she's not aware, but she can speak in her own language and she can think. So.
May I add?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say think of it this way. Deceit is a different installment that focuses directly on the relationship between Haruka and Imogen, no matter what state of mind they're in, no matter what happens. It's about their relationship. So when we get to the part where Imogen turns into a witch, we aren't letting her talk, we aren't letting her be human, but we are showing you what she's thinking and how turning into a witch has changed her.
Yep.
That's how I view it.
Yeah, pretty much. So no, she's not aware, but yes, she can still think and speak in her own way.
A lot of witches, you'll see, like in Madoka Magica, some don't attack unless attacked, things like that. They have mindsets. They may be toxic mindsets,
Yeah.
but they still work.
Yeah.
Yep.
They are still beings. They came from human girls, humanish girls.
Yep.
Yeah, they're not like, contrary to what I originally thought of with witches, they're not mindless.
Yep.
They do have some kind of individual motive and something to make them work.
They may be corrupted, but they still have something that pushes them.
Yep.
Very good. Ready for number 5?
Yep.
What are Haruka and Imogen's official sexualities?
All right, so this is something that I definitely saw discussed, and I want to clear this up. Imogen is bi. I imagine she had, back in Australia, she probably had a crush on a male classmate, right?
Yep.
And especially with coming from a Christian household, that's how she would have viewed it as like, okay, I'm straight, I gotta be straight, right?
Yep.
So, I actual relationship was with Haruka. Back in Australia, she did have crushes and such on men, right? This stream is lagging.
Yeah, you might want to repeat that. It's getting a little...
Yeah.
Sorry about
It's
that.
getting a bit laggy. Press OK. Do I need to repeat anything? I know there's going to be a delay for chat, but I want to ask. Let me make sure that nothing cut out.
Yeah. You might want to tackle Haruka's side of it and then come back to Imogen's one more time to make sure we got it.
Yeah. So that people could just tell in chat. Nobody's talking in chat. Are we still live?
I think, yeah, I see it. I think we're good. Let me turn up, double check. Yeah, we are still live.
It's freezing a lot. Let me check in the server and see if people are... No, okay, there's no complaints in the server.
Okay, they're talking again. They said, we're good, we think.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought it was only me because phone's internet. No, it's lagging a little bit.
It might be my computer, the internet issues, but it seems like we're good now.
Yeah, okay, so I'll go over this again.
Yeah, go for it. Do it again.
Imogen is bi. Her official sexuality is bi because I like to imagine she had like a crush on a male classmate back in Australia, but she never had a full-on relationship until Haruka. So she had a past of, you know, liking guys, right?
Yep.
But then she meets Haruka. So I like to imagine Imogen swings both ways, right? And it was Haruka that caused her to realize that she swings both ways, right?
Yep. I think she even has a moment where she's like, am I gay?
Yeah, she's like, I'm a Christian and I have a crush on a girl? Yeah. And then Haruka, I remember Ned telling me, Haruka doesn't fully know what she is. Again, her first relationship was Imogen. So all she knows is she likes Imogen, right?
She's Imogen sexual.
I don't know if you guys have seen the little. I made them little matching Pride Month icons way back in 2019. Um, Imogen has the bi flag behind her, and Haruka is just the rainbow because I remember asking Ned, and Ned said Haruka doesn't know what she is.
So she gets a rainbow.
So she just gets the full rainbow, right?
Aw.
So for any of you wondering about what their official sexualities are, there you go. Hopefully that's cleared up.
Yep. All right. Number 6. Right? Yep. What
Mhm.
happened to Imogen's witch?
So this is also something I saw asked a lot. After they left Imogen's witch behind, what happened? Because unlike all the other witches we've come across in Midori Magica, they didn't kill Imogen's witch. Imogen's witch lived through the fight. Right? They ran instead of going back and killing her. I don't know how much of this I can get into.
You can. We've mentioned the border in Revolt. You
Okay.
are free to mention the border.
So Matilda is right near where. Isn't she near where the border is?
Yeah, she's right outside the line of the border. So she's not
Yeah.
close enough that all the magical girls are just creating a wall, but she is close enough that Ritsu and Kyubei eventually are like, oh, we'll travel there.
Yeah. So, for those of you who don't know, the border is basically the line the line where the Revolution territory starts.
Yep.
And in Revolution territory, it's much more controlled. You know, witches' appearances are like far more controlled, and the magical girl population is more controlled. Whereas outside the border, and the border spans like, isn't it the western side of the United States?
Yeah, they take basically the entire western side.
Yeah, and then the non-revolution territory is the eastern side. So since Haruka and Imogen are from Ohio, they're like right off the border territory,
Yep.
right? So in the non-border territory, there are lots of magical girls, but they're very weak magical girls.
Yep.
So Petals and I like to imagine that other weaker magical girls probably entered Matilda's labyrinth, but were unable to defeat the witch, because you guys have read about that thing. It's massive,
Yep.
right? It pounded Ritsu's illusion self into the ground with his fist.
Yep.
It is big. So Petals and I like to think that Imogen's witch is probably still alive in the story at the time of revolt.
You can think of it like the outside border. Kyubei's like, well, I don't have territory in the western, so I have to make up I have to make up in the East Coast what I can't have in the West Coast. So I'll just make 100 more magical girls than I should. And so he's spawning very weak, quick grab magical girls to make up for it, and they are very good at killing Matilda.
Yeah. Petals and I have discussed pretty much the only way that Matilda could be taken down is if, didn't we say, 2 or 3 skilled revolutionists tag teaming it?
If 2 or 3 good revolutionists came through and were like, oh, we need to take this one out, they probably could.
Yeah, but otherwise she's still there.
Yep.
She's probably still kicking.
So her date of death is unknown.
Yep. Who knows? She's probably still alive even after Haruka gets killed.
Dun dun dun! That is something we canonically, we don't have the answer for this, but we canonically note the magical girl's death either to be the death of the witch or the shattering of their own gem.
Mm-hmm.
The creation of the witch is not the death of the girl.
Yep.
Alright. You ready for the next one?
Yep.
Alright. Why does Ritsu talk in Deceit, but not in Revolt?
Alright, you take this one, Petals.
Alright. This one has to do with her backstory and her wish.
I'll actually be right back while you explain this.
Sounds good. So, in Revolt, you eventually get a backflash to where Ritsu makes her wish. She just turned 12. She's on the roof. Her grandparents had been abusing her. beating her and telling her not to talk in class because she talks about, oh, I've seen something, a white creature, and it can talk, and it saved me from a fire. And so her grandparents were very, stop talking in class, you're making a fool of us, stop it, stop it, stop it, and focus. But of course, with trauma of fire and other things, she's not very good at focusing in class. So she makes her wish, and her wish was she really wanted to be somebody new. She wanted a new name. She no longer wanted to be Anna. She wanted to be Ritsu. She was going to go out. She was going to save the world. Despite her stutter, she was going to talk. She was going to be somebody who had a voice, who could do something, and was going to change. And that was her goal. So literally a week or two after making her wish, she walks into Matilda's labyrinth. She's barely killed any witches at all. And now she's walking into Matilda's labyrinth, and she's a new person. She's gonna talk. She's gonna change. It's gonna be amazing. And that's why she's talking in Deceit. When you get to Revolt, however, if you've read the chapter, major spoilers warning, by the way, for the end of Revolt, if you read the chapter where you get the backflash of Charlotte meeting Runa, Haruka, and Ritsu for the first time, Charlotte immediately kills Haruka. Like, immediately. Ritsu feels responsible. Her friend is dead. Runa is human. Ritsu took away Haruka's memories. She feels guilty. She feels responsible. She feels like because she talked, because she's a magical girl, because of all of this, she messed up. And if she talks again, she's gonna mess up again. So at that point, she goes selectively mute again. And from then on, it's rare that she speaks. She can speak. She's not physically mute. It's a trauma-based thing, mental thought process. So that is why Ritsu talks in Deceit and not in Revolt. If you do go back and look at the chapter where Runa, Haruka, and Ritsu are together before Haruka dies, Ritsu talks then too. She even says, "I'll race you!" and like is so excited to be around Haruka, Runa, and Midori and everybody. She even like says, "Oh, I wish I could be like Midori." So she's stuttering still. She's still having issues, but she does talk in Revolt before Haruka dies. The moment Haruka dies and Runa turns human and her soul gem is taken by Charlotte, she feels it's because she talked. Bam. Oh, the sad faces in the chat. Ritsu does a lot. It's so sad when you think about it, because Revolt takes place 2 months after Deceit. And if you've read Deceit, you know, or if you've read Revolt...
Hey, I'm back.
Welcome back. If you've read Revolt, you know that Ritsu doesn't make it at the end. And so it just really sucks because it's 2 months after Deceit. So she really only made her wish for like 2.5 months before she... I think that covers everything for why Ritsu doesn't talk.
Alright, cool. Perfect timing for me being back then.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Alright. Are you ready for number 8?
Mm-hmm.
How could Ekho torture Haruka this way?
Hey, listen, alright? Haruka originally belonged to Ned. Ned was the one doing all the Haruka writing, not me. Don't pin Haruka on me. You can pin Imogen on me, that's fine, but Haruka was all Ned.
Shrug. Alright. You ready for number 9?
Mm-hmm.
Labyrinth Void? ?
So, I know that at least one person was confused about how I described there being like a void surrounding Matilda's labyrinth.
Yeah.
So usually we see labyrinths as a contained space of some kind, right? Especially with Matilda's labyrinth, there are like designated hallways. It's like a maze, right? And then there's a central chamber. But one thing we know about Matilda is that since she's the Witch of Travel, she has the ability to travel outside of her central chamber.
Yep.
But she can't just crawl through the Labyrinth Hallways. They're much too small for her, right?
Yep.
So instead I imagine it as there's a generated Labyrinth Hallways, and they're kind of suspended in what looks like an endless void, but has some sort of floor to it, so Matilda can walk, right?
Yep.
So it's really just an interpretive thing for me of how I imagine labyrinths to work, and I had to incorporate this because Matilda can leave her central chamber. We don't usually see like a witch leave its chamber.
Yep.
But since Matilda can, I had to put some kind of explanation backing that up, right? How can she do this? And I mean, in the chapter and in the chapter itself, I described Matilda like tearing away the walls of the Labyrinth Hallways to just show this surrounding blackness, right?
Yep.
And it's basically just like the space that surrounds the Labyrinth Hallways. Because if it's a maze, it's just made up of hallways. There's not like an endless green field or an endless like wheat field like Charlotte's Labyrinth had.
Yep.
Right? Matilda's Labyrinth is all contained space. But because the witch itself can exit that contained space, I had to put some kind of surrounding space there.
Yep.
That's basically what it is, right? So it's like a void but not. There is a floor to it so that Matilda can walk along and like tear away her chamber walls, or her labyrinth walls, but there's blackness there, right?
Yep.
That's essentially what it is. So for all of you confused about, oh, why does the labyrinth have a void around it? That's why. It's just an interpretive thing I had to add to further explain how Matilda can get out,
Yep.
right? Because she can't just, like I said, she can't just like army crawl through the hallways. She's way too big for that.
She gotta go boom.
Mm-hmm. Big thundering metal footsteps.
Oh yeah. Poor Ritsu here behind her.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can look at the chapter art and tell Ritsu is not having a good time.
Kyubei! What have you done? I hate this! Change my mind.
I don't want to be a magical girl anymore!
Haruka, could you, wake up for maybe 2 seconds? I could really use some help. Alright, is that it for the frequently asked questions?
I think so.
Alright, let's move on. Bloop. We are on to the Q&A question. Some questions we may just answer really fast. Here's the answer. Others we may go into more depth. So it's completely up to Ekho. So, are you ready?
Yes.
Also, my apologies. I'm going to try my best to pronounce usernames. But I also suck at reading to a point where I will read random words in editing. Ekho can confirm this. So, apologies, but I'm going to try. Alright, DJ Cookie 8401 asks, how hard was designing Emmy's Witch?
Matilda was one that I had a good picture in my mind of what I wanted. But at the time, I was still drawing with a mouse, and I was just getting into, like, designing, Madoka magical witches and all that. So I don't want to say she wasn't hard. If we think of, designing being, both writing the description for her and drawing her, right? I'd say writing the description and coming up with her was pretty straightforward because I knew what I wanted. I took aspects of Imogen's character and put it into the witch, right? Designing witches for magical girls who transform in the story isn't as hard as just creating them off the top of your head because you already have some kind of base to work with, right?
Yep.
But drawing them, on the other hand, drawing that description you write can be incredibly difficult. Matilda is a very hard one for me to draw. I have a lot of unfinished drawings of her in my art folder that I just gave up on midway through because the armor is so difficult for me to draw. My first fully finished digital drawing of her after her first reference in all the way back in 2018 was her reference image now. I had not finished a drawing of Matilda, start to finish, for years. Because she was just so difficult. I would always get scared when it came time to shade it, right?
Yep.
Because at the time I didn't know how to use the watercolor brush. I didn't know how to shade armor. I didn't know how to make it look shiny or sharp. Like, Matilda is just, she takes a lot out of me to draw. So writing her description wasn't too bad. It was actually giving her a visual design that was difficult. Yeah. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being easy as heck and 10 being literally impossible, I would put her at a solid, 7. Taking both the written description and the visual design into account.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
You ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Legendary Hero asks, what was your favorite moment of writing Deceit? In book or real life? An awesome scene.
Chapter 25. Waltzing Matilda. I know I talked a lot about, I have a favorite chapter in Deceit, guys. It's coming really soon. Yeah, that was chapter 25.
For those who can't remember which one chapter 25 is, that's the Waltzing Matilda. That's the one where Ritsu tries to escape the labyrinth as Matilda is chasing him behind.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think I need to say much more on that.
Alright. Again, forgive me if I pronounce wrong. Sombre the Hacker asks, which scene was the hardest to write? Both this is so sad, or this is so difficult. Did any scenes make you sad?
What was the hardest part to write? Okay, I will say, doing the descriptions for the entire Matilda segment was tough.
Yep.
I had to figure out how to put this clear image in my head from visuals into words. That was really tough. Having to translate what was in my head onto paper.
Did anything make you sad?
No.
No, let's be honest, we were laughing maniacally behind the scenes. Alright, you ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
Alexa Miller asks, what was your favorite chapter and why? You already answered that, but
Yeah.
What inspired you to write this book / the ending?
So, it was less of an inspiration to write it and more of Ned literally came to me and said, hey, you want to do a magical girl roleplay? And I was like, yes, please, how could I say no? I still have the exact date that she invited me to edit the document for Deceit.
Oh, yeah?
She sent me a Google Docs invitation to edit the Deceit document June 12th, 2018. And it was originally titled Maguka RP, Nendel Clan and Gladdersten. So she came to me. I have water, Mal. I'm drinking it, I swear.
Good. Good.
She came to me and she just said, it was a bit after I created Imogen, she was just like, hey, you want to do a magical girl roleplay? And I was like, yes, please. Yeah. And then favorite chapter, of course, is chapter 25.
Alright.
What about you, Petals? What's your favorite chapter of Deceit?
Oh gosh. See, I love chapter 25 so much, but the shock of erasure at the end, man. I love that chapter. It's the reason why, as you said at the beginning of the stream, we get to go around saying, you can try to guess the ending, but it won't matter.
Yeah.
That was our little hint to everybody that Deceit doesn't matter.
Yep.
I love that's probably my favorite chapter simply because we got to go around throwing that out at people.
Yeah.
Little did everybody know it was a hint and not a taunt. Shrug. You ready for the next one?
Mhm.
Comet Crusher says, "Ooh, exciting. I'll make sure to be there. Here's my question. Were there any specific inspirations you had when writing the characters' backstories? I love them and would really love to know. They're super interesting and detailed smiley face." Aw.
So, I can think of a few in particular that I had inspiration for. One of them I can't get into. The main one that I'm thinking of, I can't get into yet.
Yep.
Um, Imogen's backstory, I was really just, it kind of just came to me. Like, it was one that I just thought of and was like, oh yeah, this person's a backstory for her. I mean, her family's very Christian. I can imagine her brother is very Christian as well. And um, the whole missionary thing, um, I say, can I say this? I think I can say this. Um, my family used to go to church every Sunday, right?
Yep.
And there would be every summer they would have this little like it wasn't really a summer camp, but it was kind of like a summer activity week or something at the church. And my mom would um, do these segments at this little camp where she would play this character called, I think it was Missy the Missionary,
Oh.
I think. And that's where I originally like learned about like what a missionary is and kind of what they do. Unless my memory is completely failing me and I'm totally wrong about this. But I remembered that when designing Imogen, and I was having to think of her backstory, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool if her brother just wanted to be a missionary in Africa, as like kind of his dream to like kind of spread the love of God and kind of help people,
Aw.
right? So I guess mainly there was inspiration for Xavier's backstory there, but yeah, I guess that kind of ties into Imogen's backstory because she made her wish for him. Um,
So sweet.
and of course, I can't get into the other one I'm thinking of. But what about you, Petals?
Um, a lot of my backstories and stuff are from personal experiences that I've tied in or over exaggerated. So a
Yeah.
lot of them don't really have inspiration from a particular source, other than personal. Oh, I want a sassy white girl character. Let me make one, and then fill in the blanks from there. The only one that I will say that I was inspired by something is Mally's father's backstory. Um, this is a very bloody scene, so I don't recommend our children watching this. Look this up. Um, but there was I'm obsessed with magicians and magic, and I watch a lot of magician shows, and I'm always amazed. Um, but there was a movie called Now You See Me, um, and one of the opening scenes to meeting one of the characters is she's like really seductive, really cute, and she's wearing a very scandalous outfit, and she's like, "All right, boys, are you ready?" And she chains herself up, and she hops into a tank of water, and above her is lots of piranhas. And
Dude, I think I've seen these movies.
yeah, at the end of a minute, the piranhas will drop, and she'll die. Um, Spoiler alert. Now, granted, it is the opening of the movie, so it's not that big of a spoiler, because it's introducing this character. The
Hmm.
piranhas drop, and she starts banging on the door like, "I can't get out! I can't get out! Help me!" And all of her fans start freaking out, trying to help her escape, but the piranhas drop, and the blood runs red, and the entire water is just red, and you can no longer see her. And the whole audience is crying and screaming, and then and then all of a sudden, in the audience, in the back of the audience, you hear somebody yell, "That sucks! I want my money back!" And everybody turns and looks, and there she is. So highly inspired by that scene, Mally's father does not make it out of a show.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think most of my characters are either inspired by personal people I know or just I want to create that. But that
Yeah.
one was inspired by Now You See Me.
Yeah.
Yee. You ready for the next one?
Yep.
All right. What was your least favorite chapter of Deceit and why? Says Ecology.
Yeah, this person has a lot of questions, so let's kind of like break it up a little bit. Least favorite chapter of Deceit. Let me think. I'd say any of the filler chapters where they're just hanging out. Because not much takes place in them.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what was the most fillery one. Going back and looking at the chapter art so that I can remember which one is which. Probably like I'd say maybe chapter 5 when the bench is introduced because not much happens there.
New character.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably 5.
All right, you ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
Did Imogen have many friends back in Sydney?
Yeah, I like to think she had a pretty decent friend group. She's very social, very good with people, so of course that would lead to a decent amount of friends.
Did you ever cry while writing / planning Deceit?
No.
We laughed. You should. I wish you guys would hear our editing calls because we just
Our editing calls are chaotic.
It's so chaotic because every few lines I'll make a joke like, "Oh no, that's not foreshadowing." You'll see on the side of the dock old notes that Ned left saying things like, "Too bad you won't be able to enjoy it." We laugh maniacally through it all.
Yeah, we do. We love torturing our characters.
Yeah. All right. Was the title easy to come up with?
Yes. Ned and I came up with the title pretty far into writing it. We were just like, what would work for the book? And Deceit, because a lot of it is lying, right? A lot of lies take place. Mainly from Haruka and kind of from Ritsu. Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty much.
All right. How
they plotted instead of cried. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's so us. How hard was it to design Imogen?
Well, I mean, you guys saw the design process.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
Yeah, we talked about that already.
Can I have some of Haruka's restaurant's food, please?
Go find the restaurant. Haruka's not there anymore, but the restaurant probably still stands.
Yeah, there's no longer a cute waitress girl serving you.
Yeah.
Temp from Discord asks, how did you choose who became a witch in Deceit?
So, essentially, there's a funny story about how Deceit became canon. Originally, it was just a roleplay between Ned and I. We were just kind of goofing off with our characters, just writing, right? But a couple chapters in, Ned came to me and said, hey, do you want Deceit to be canon to the Midori Magica timeline? And I was like, you gotta be kidding me, why are you asking? Of course. And she said, okay, for that to take place, she said, Petals came to me and said that, like, at the time, Petals and Ned were starting on writing Revolt. And Petals came to Ned and said, hey, I need a dead body. Do you have a character?
Such a normal thing to say, but it's totally what I said.
Yeah. Hey, I need a dead body. Do you have a character that we can just immediately have dead at the start of Revolt? And Ned was like, yeah, I've got this character.
Her name is Haruka.
Yeah, her name is Haruka. We can go ahead and
murder her.
Yeah. And she was like, I just gotta talk to Ekho quickly and ask, right?
Yep.
And so Ned came to me a couple chapters in and she was like, hey, if you want this to be canon, here's how we do it. Haruka needs to survive all the way through, and Imogen needs to die.
Yep.
Um,
Otherwise, it would have been the opposite. Imogen's body would have been for Kate.
yep.
Yep.
One of the two had to die, right? And I was like, oh, dude, can I kill my character, please? So
So exciting.
yeah. I think also the other reason why we chose Haruka is because Haruka belonged to Ned, and Ned was the one who was writing Revolt with Petals.
Yep.
So that was how it was decided. That pretty much it decided the rest of the plot mainly too. Like the general plot outline from there on in. We had a canon story. We knew where we were going with it, and we knew that Imogen had to turn into a witch.
I think a lot of people, if I may add,
Go ahead.
I think a lot of people, when they're doing their role plays, they get really attached to their characters, and it's totally cool to be attached to your characters. There's nothing.
I'm very attached to my
yeah,
characters.
we're all very attached. We love our characters, even when we kill them off. I will promise you, every single death has a reason. I've always said that.
Yep.
But when you're in a role play and you're trying to decide who dies, a lot of people get really defensive and be like, "Well, not my characters.
Yeah.
Don't touch mine." So there always needs to be somebody who steps up and says, "All right, I'll do it."
Yeah.
And because, like, when we had Foresight, I was like, "Oh, I'll do it with Mally." Like, it was just like, I'll do it so other people don't have to. But once you do it once and people start having these fun reactions to it, kind of start to love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. You ready?
Yep.
All right. From our Discord server.
Oh wait, sorry. One other thing I wanted to add.
Go for it.
My thought process was basically if I have to kill off Imogen to get onto the Midori Magica team, that is a no-brainer decision for me.
Yep. Bye bye, Imogen.
Yeah. You're a necessary sacrifice. Bye.
All right. From our Discord server, which you can join from the description, by the way, Felicia Kitty Ooh Woo asks, "Can Imogen end up accidentally teleporting into a wall or something?"
Okay. This is a funny idea, right? Like a funny thing to think about, but no, she can't. Imogen's ability, she has to see where she's teleporting.
Yep. Still a funny thought, though.
Yep.
Props to you. All right. Lewuna M from our Discord server asks, "Where did the name Deceit come from?"
I'm pretty sure we kind of already answered this.
Yep.
Just, the whole lying theme in the story.
And totally nothing else. All right, you ready?
Yep.
All right, next slide. Bloop. All right, we're on to our Toy House questions. So, Milky Waves asks, "Ooh, if I can't make it on, I have a question for consideration. Were there any scenes from Foresight, Revolt, or Deceit that were written but then scrapped out? I hope this is an okay question."
So we're only going to talk about the Deceit one for this. The entirety of Chapter 25 was added.
Yep.
Sorry if you guys hear loud clanking in the back. My dad's doing the dishwasher. The entirety of Chapter 25 was added. Originally, when Petals came in and wrote, it was planned that Ritsu was going to defeat Matilda. But a couple months back, when Petals and I were looking back at Deceit, we decided, no way is that possible.
So stupid. Ritsu's a baby. Matilda's a monster. What were we thinking?
So we added in that entire, like I just said, all of Chapter 25 was added. That was the replacement for Ritsu defeating Matilda.
Yep.
Was that whole chapter.
Yep.
And thank frick we added it.
It ended up being like a moment to remember.
Yep. My favorite chapter.
Yeah, there is no... Yeah, originally she was like chucking sleds, and I'm like, that's just such a dumb visual. It's so dumb. So glad we changed it.
Yep.
Alright, you ready?
Yep.
Honeybun Love asks, "Ooh, how fun! I'll try to make it if I don't have plans. Let me try to think of a question. Ooh, I've actually been a little curious about this. Was Deceit written before or after Revolt?" And then she has another one I'll ask after that.
Yeah. Joe McCrow just baby versus giant night witch and wins. Seems reasonable. So this is kind of a trick question. I'm pretty sure Ned and I started Deceit before Revolt got started. But Revolt was finished before Deceit was finished.
Yep. Think of it this way. Revolt took us 2 weeks to write.
Deceit took a couple months.
Yep. So we started and ended Revolt in the middle of Deceit.
Oh, don't worry, Foxlit. I was never into Mally either.
Yeah, she's kind of she can be too much for some people.
Yep.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, next part.
Alright. And after they left Imogen's Witch, did Ekho write anything else in Deceit after that, other than editing?
Yes, I wrote, like, one paragraph.
Yep.
If you guys remember, the very last witch that gets fought in Deceit, the butterfly serpent one that doesn't have a name, because we didn't deem it important enough.
Yep.
I wrote just the description paragraph for that. Just the initial design. That was it.
Yep. Alright. She asks another one. I thought of another more stupid one. Was Imogen and Ritsu both having pigtails a coincidence?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and both of them being red was also a coincidence.
Haruka needs better friends.
Yeah, she has a type apparently.
Yeah.
Red magical girls with brownish pigtails. And we answered, why does Ritsu talk in Deceit? So we got you covered there.
Everybody talking in the chat, yes, I love Gozo so much. Gozo is great. Yeah, Gozo supremacy.
Gozo, as I said in the last stream, Gozo just has a nice axe. I love Gozo.
I love Melly, but we know that already because of the cosplay. Yep.
Yep.
Flora and Fauna in chat, or also known as Mal, Honeybun Love, Blue Star Moonstone, cosplayed Mally.
I'm still in awe about that. I do love Mally. She was a fun character, but I definitely feel like my writing skills have gotten better since her.
She was really only there to help explain stuff, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was meant to be the best friend to help Midori along. She was. We needed an explanation character, and Midori plus Mally equaled that.
Yeah.
So she was designed for that reason. Fun fact though, Reki and Mally, I can't remember which one came first. But they were my very first magical girls ever created, and they were created in like 2014 when I started watching the show. Shrug. Alright, you ready for the next one?
Yep.
Back to scratch, we have Light Echoes asking, what moment in the story did you enjoy writing the most?
Chapter 25.
That was easy.
That,
I highly agree.
Yeah.
Alright, another question from our Discord friend, Lawuna M.
Oh, sorry, someone in the chat talking about Gozo, just good for chucking pianos. Yeah.
If you need your piano moved,
Call Gozo. I need to just draw Gozo throwing a piano.
Please.
That'd be so funny.
I need piano x Gozo art. Wait.
Just yeet. Gozo goes to the gym just to chuck the pianos.
Yes. Alright. Luina M asks, which characters are your favorite when it comes to design?
When it comes to design, I'm always biased towards my own, of course. Right?
You spent so long on them, of course.
Yeah. So, to make this easier on me, I'm gonna go favorite of mine, favorite of Petals', and favorite of Ned's.
Go for it.
Favorite of mine, Xenia, hands down. That's easy, right?
Easy, yep.
Mitch probably being a close second.
Yep.
Favorite of Petals'? Oh, that's a hard one.
depends what you're into. I got a wide variety.
Yeah. I really like Kate's.
Oh, thank you.
And of course Reki is iconic.
She is.
I also really like Mimi's design. But I know Petals didn't design that one directly.
Nope.
So
But I love her.
So I'd probably say for Petals, it's either Kate or Reki. And then Ned's. I know Ned didn't do a lot of designing herself for her magical girls. So.
Yeah, she was very much determined to support as many artists as she could by buying designs.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Runa. I think I'm gonna go with Runa.
I have a very similar list to you. Xenia of yours, and Xenia overall. Like, over everyone, I think Xenia is the most suiting to be in Madoka Magica anime. Then, out of Ned's 100% Runa. Though I will throw bias at Alexa, because just Alexa. And then of my own...
I also like Gozo of Ned's.
Gozo's also good. She's fun to design. Of my own, I'm probably gonna have to say one of the three, Ritsu, Reki, or Charlotte.
Yeah.
One of them.
Charlotte's design is really good too.
It's very simplistic compared to the others,
but
I think it suits her.
Yeah, it really does.
Alright, another question from Lowuna M. And which character's weapon is your favorite? I can tell you which one's my least.
Favorite weapon? Ooh. I'm gonna go mine, Petals, Ned's again. Mine, either Xenia's sword or Mitch's gauntlet.
Yep.
Petals is... Charlotte's umbrella is really cool.
Alright.
And then Ned's probably Runa's scythe.
That one's so iconic. I'd say Xenia's sword or or Imogen's boomerang, just because that's so, like, nobody else is gonna have a boomerang. I love that. Of my own, I'd say Ritsu's sled for its multi-purpose uses, as a shield, as an escape mechanism, and as a blade. And then of Ned's, I'd either say Gozo's axe or Runa's scythe. Probably Runa's scythe.
Yeah.
Alright, and the last question is, which weapon do you think has the coolest design?
I don't know how much of a difference that is from favorite weapon. Xenia's sword is incredibly iconic.
It is.
So
probably just gonna hand it to Gozo there.
Yeah, Gozo's axe or Xenia's sword there.
That thing isn't even an axe, it's just a blade. Anything other than Nyx's weapon is our favorite weapon, okay? Listen, we hate drawing that stupid thing. I hate you, Ned. Okay. Alright, you ready for the next one?
Yep.
Mirai asks, how come you never draw Haruka and Imogen's bracelets? How relevant are they to the plot?
They are actually incredibly relevant.
Yep.
The reason why you don't see me drawing them much is because either a lot of the chapter arts take place before the bracelets were attained or after Haruka loses hers, right? B, the drawing didn't have their wrists showing, because that certain wrist has to be showing for me to be able to draw it, right? C, Imogen's sleeve covers it.
She's got a jacket.
Imogen wears a jacket, so I can't draw Imogen's bracelet because her sleeve is covering it, right? Or D, they're in their magical outfits, and the bracelets don't transfer over.
Yep.
So they are actually incredibly important, as like a little symbol, but they're just, the drawing, the pose never works.
Keep in mind, there's literally a chapter art just of the bracelets.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, you don't see it at all in Revolt on the grounds of
It's gone.
it's gone.
Hmm.
It's gone.
But like, if they're in their magical outfits, they're not going to be wearing their bracelets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Their final question, of course. Can their ship name be Imuraka?
The ship name can be whatever the fans want the ship name to be. There can be multiple ship names. There can be just one. I don't care. Just don't fight over it, please.
Harmony for the win. Yeah. You are free to do what you want. We never get in the way of fans if we can.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you guys aren't being harmful.
Gozo super high school level piano thrower.
I love.
No piano smasher.
Alright,
Oh
you
my
ready for
word.
the next set?
Yeah.
Bloop. Alright, we're back to scratch. Raspberry Lemon asks, What would you be doing right now if Midori Magica never existed?
That's a really good question. And of course, since I can't see alternate timelines, I can't answer that one, super duper accurately. But I definitely know I can say that my life would be a lot different if I had never joined the Midori Magica team. I feel like I still would have met Ned and Petals, because I met Ned over Madoka Magica, right?
Yeah.
Over Madoka Magica and a couple other things that I don't want to get into. But I definitely know that Midori Magica has given my life, warning for sappy rambling, has given my life a lot of meaning lately, like especially with quarantine and everything going, where I'm like stuck inside all day and can't really do much. Of course, I'm stuck inside of my own accord. I love being stuck inside, but like, it's given me stuff to do. It's given me something to look forward to. It's given me a chance to like branch out and like try my hand at a lot of different stuff, like posting an actual book, doing like scheduled chapter art, all of this crazy stuff. It's introduced me to a lot of new people. I've met some friends that I wouldn't have met if I hadn't gotten into Midori Magica. It's given me something to be proud of, and yeah.
I highly agree. May I?
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing for me is Midori Magica hasn't just helped my friend group and made sure that I stay in contact with people. It's also like just a huge like motivator. Like, I have a lot of stories. I have a lot of stories. But I never finished one. I never posted one. I never wrote it. I never sat down and did it. This, we sit down, we write it, we edit it, we do everything. It's given me a taste of the process of how to do it. And I wouldn't be as far or as motivated or as dedicated as I am now without it. And I highly thank Ned for setting up Midori Magica, because I wouldn't be half as proud without it. If you're wondering what I'd be doing right now if it weren't for Midori Magica, getting more sleep. That's something. Alright, that's my answer. Are you ready for the next one?
Yep.
Parakeet Kate 09 asks, if you could become a magical girl, what would you have wished for, and what power would you have / weapons? You ready?
Well, we have a special answer for that.
Bloop! Ta-da!
These are our official magical girl forms. It goes from left to right, of course, me, Ned, and Petals. We're not going to get into wishes.
Yep.
But we can get into powers and design choices and such.
You want to go first, Ekho?
Sure, I'll go first. Mine is essentially like camouflage soldier. I went for a very like I went for like a kind of military look because I am such a sucker for military designs. My weapon is, I'm pretty sure it's actually specifically an AK-47 machine gun.
That's awesome.
With a vine wrapped around it and my little leaf soul gem. So yeah, bullets.
Yeah.
My ability is camouflage, so I can blend in with wherever I am and essentially turn invisible. Like invisibility, but not.
Yep.
Right?
Blend.
Yeah. So there's me.
Fun fact about each of the ones that are drawn on here, each of them are drawn by each of us. So the one of Ekho is drawn by Ekho, the one of Ned is drawn by Ned, and the one of me is drawn by me.
Oh yeah, the gun is so detailed because I traced it.
Ha! I feel that.
Yeah, at the time I was really bad at drawing guns, and I wanted to make sure it was like recognizable. So
Ned's,
I just
sorry.
traced it. No, go ahead.
Ned's I like how we also kind of keep a little bit of the parts of us, like
Yeah.
what we kind of look like, but then add the magical to it.
Yeah.
Ned's was highly designed off of the freedom of butterflies and wanting to be a magical girl. So it's very frilly, it's very girly, it's very fun and cool. It's very magical, which is something we all love. Her weapon is like a little hand claw, because if you knew Ned at all, she was super into cats to a point where we called her the crazy cat lady down the road. Her ability, again, we can't go into powers, but her ability, or we can't go into wishes, but we can't go into power. Her ability was something along the lines of temporary flight. So that's really cool. Mine is a toy soldier. That has a whole meaning to me with, I once, keeping it short, I once was in tap dancing. I was for many, many years, and there was one girl I really looked up to, and in the dance, in like our dance recital, she got to be a toy soldier. And I thought that was the coolest thing, and she had the coolest dance, and I wanted to be the tap dancer who did the toy soldier. And like 6 years later, I got to be the toy soldier. And so toy soldiers have always been like a thing for me. So my weapon is a pop gun. It shoots and has a string that keeps the cork attached to the gun so it comes back. The blushies are mandatory. The blushies are painted on my face. They are mandatory. I always imagine the cork gun, the pop gun, could be used in 3 different ways. It can be used to shoot. It can be used to shoot at the ground and launch me forward, and it can be used kind of like a sticky grappling hook. I can shoot at the ceiling and swing. And that's really all I have about my toy soldier.
All of these designs of ours can be found on our individual Toy House pages. Usually it's tabs under our personas.
Yeah, so if you go to each of our Ekho or Svunk or Ned, you'll find the tabs on the side, and we each have it like Madoka Magica or Maguka Mi.
Yeah.
So you can find it there.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, so that's us. Alright. Klingu, again, sorry if I said your name right or wrong, asks, what made you and Ned choose to make Imogen and Haruka together?
We literally just decided that on a whim. Ned came to me and she was like, hey, you want to ship them? And I was like, yes. It was funny because at the time I was like, how old was I when I started writing? I was like 14, I think, when we started writing Deceit. So I was still getting used to the whole idea of same gender ships, right?
Yep.
And, watching Madoka Magica, and Ned being really into the ship of Kyoko and Sayaka kind of brought me into it a little bit, but
yeah.
Ned wanting to write or Ned asking me if we wanted to ship Imogen and Haruka, it was kind of like at that moment for me of like trying something new.
Yeah.
So I was like, sure, why not? I think it was around the time that um, chapter 6 was written, and we did that cute little interaction with them. And Ned was like, hey, do you want to ship them?
That sounds like her.
Mhm.
Wanna just throw random ships out there? Somebody in the chat, Foxlit whoa, asks, do you ever still design magical girl designs like randomly and never use them?
Well, I mean, a lot of my magical girls, it depends how you define use. If you define
Yeah.
use as being in a full-on story, completely fleshed out and written, then yeah, there are some that I'm probably never going to use like that. But all of my magical girls have some kind of backstory to them, except for this one that I'm still kind of developing. But I do try and at least give them a full backstory and a full personality and some kind of intercharacter relations.
Yeah, otherwise we just sell them as adopts.
Mhm.
Yeah. I do like to design them though, they are fun. Alright, I'm gonna stick with Scratch and do the Discord last. So,
Yeah, that's fine.
Ladubia from Scratch asks, are there any weird inside jokes surrounding Deceit? Like the Taco Man thing?
I don't think so.
Well, we have the title joke.
Yeah, I guess.
We have, of course, the running jokes like gay and just funny little. And of course, the bench being a character.
Yeah.
But as for like running gags,
Yeah.
I can't think of any. Can you?
I can't either.
Oh. We took this one more seriously, is what we're telling you.
Yeah.
Alright. Ink Soda asks, how do you kill off characters? Is there a specific way to do it? Or is it just, let's have this character die in this way?
Usually all of our character deaths have a reason.
Yes.
We don't just mindlessly kill off characters for the sake of mindlessly killing off characters. Even the like minor ones who just like run in, like the ones in Charlotte's Labyrinth who just ran in and died, those were still had a reason to them just to show how weak the Order Magical Girls were.
Yep.
It's really just you're sitting there, and if you realize that a character needs to die to advance the plot, then you kill them. Right?
A lot of people. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
A lot of people really struggle with not wanting to kill their character. My best advice is like killing the character isn't just dissing them or just throwing them aside or getting rid of them. It's completing their story. And
Yep.
it's throwing their legacy. What is their final moment? What are their final words? And what legacy will they give on to the people around them? As Ekho pointed out in Charlotte's Labyrinth with those two girls, it's not just showing off how weak they are, it's showing off the terrible scenario, the terrible situation that's outside the border.
Sorry, I interpreted that wrong.
No, you're absolutely right. They're incredibly weak. But
Yeah.
on top of that, it goes to show you how awful outside the border is.
Mm-hmm.
There's every single character death we give does something for the plot. It carries something, it teaches the character a lesson. People grow from characters' deaths. Whether you're happy or sad about it, there's something to be learned. There's something they can go from, and it leads to an overarching, bigger picture.
Yep.
Yep. As for the ways we kill them, completely depends on how we want their legacy to be interpreted.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
Alright. Inky Soda also asks, do you ever worry about what the fans will think about insert character being killed off? Or do you anticipate it?
We anticipate it.
Yeah. There's a few coming forward that I'm actually worried about. I can't say much about it.
Oh, that you're worried about.
Yeah, that I'm worried about. That I hope people will find appropriate.
Mm.
But as I always feel like we do a good job at not disrespecting the characters. I feel like we
Mm-hmm.
do a good job doing them justice in the end.
Oh, yeah.
We take a lot of time to do final words.
Yeah, there's some that I'm very much anticipating.
Yeah. But a lot of them we're just like leaning forwards.
Yeah, there are moments still to come that I have been just waiting for. Like, you think that the suffering in Deceit was bad.
Ha! Ha!
You
Deceit
think
is
that
like a cotton
you
candy ball.
you think Deceit was the best I could do.
You guys are tempting, Ekho.
You really think that the suffering I put Imogen and Haruka through was the best I could do. Don't make me laugh.
Well, now she's gonna go come even stronger at you guys. Look what you've done. It's your faults. It's not like it's Any tips for killing characters off and not feeling bad even though they are just characters? Ooh, that's a good one.
I think didn't we already answer this?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Just know that it's not disrespecting your characters. It's laying down their legacy and completing their story.
As long as you don't just kill them just to kill them.
Yeah. Have a reason to kill them. Make it
Mm-hmm.
be a moment that's worth remembering. And then you can be sad about it. There is a death coming up that I actually cried writing. It's okay to be sad about a character's death. It just means you wrote it well and you did them justice.
There was one that you almost cried hearing.
Yeah. There's a lot. We have a few coming forward that hit hard, and don't think of it as you're throwing them out the window, you're doing them dirty. No. You are completing their story. Make sure their final words stick.
Yep. Yeah, Imogen's death scene was weak.
Powerful.
To me. I think I could have done better with that. Compared to the ones I have coming, it was weak.
Well, yeah. Well, compared to the ones you have coming, that's like comparing a toddler to like a pro wrestler. Like the ones you have coming are like gonna hit people hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the best advice I got. Alright, you ready for the Discord ones?
Mhm.
Alright. Back to our Discord server, which you can join again down in the description. Clown into Oblivion, Ribbon, asks, if Haruka hadn't lied, would Imogen still have become a witch upon hearing the news?
So, I believe in this question, the news was referring to the fact that Haruka and Imogen couldn't be together.
Either that or her brother.
So, I like to think that the moment she got the news about her brother, there was no saving her. She would have turned into a witch eventually. It would have just been too much. Magical girls. If you've read a certain side story for the canon Madoka Magica timeline, I believe it was called A Different Story.
Yep.
It's the Kyoko and Mami focused manga.
Yep.
It's revealed that magical girls will lose their
Power.
Will lose their powers, their like special ability, if they start to regret making their wish.
Yep.
Right? Which is why Haruka lost her dough.
Yep.
Imogen, if she had gone into another witch fight after hearing the news about her brother, she would have lost her teleportation ability.
Yeah.
So fighting witches would have become very hard on her. And that alone would have stressed her gem enough to get dark and get to the point of breaking.
Yep. It's postponing the inevitable.
Hearing the news that her and Haruka couldn't be together, I feel like that wouldn't have hit her nearly as hard as with her brother. Think of it like I know that the news that she and Haruka couldn't be together was what caused her to snap. But think of it like as the straw that broke the camel's back. There was already so much there that was just the last piece that needed to be put into the puzzle for Imogen to break.
Yep.
Once she heard the news about her brother, there was no saving her. He was gone.
Yep. Just postponing the inevitable until it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Last question. Or last
Yep,
questions, there's two.
Yep. Cam asks, does Ritsu ever regret wiping Haruka's memory? We kind of covered this with the picture of the antagonists, but to clarify, as she's doing it, she regrets it. As she even thinks about it, she regrets it. Ritsu does not want to do this. She knows memories are a part of people. You don't just wipe people's memories. That's not ethical, it's not nice, and she wanted to be a new good person. She regretted it the moment she even thought about it. I don't know if I said this before, but I like to imagine when they meet Midori will be like, oh, so Haruka, tell me about your family and where you came from. And I imagine Ritsu is sweating, wide-eyed, just waiting for Haruka's response. Like, she feels so bad. But had she not done that, what would have happened? She had to. Yep. Alright, ready for the final question?
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that Imogen would have wanted Haruka to forget or remember?
If she were able to see how much Haruka was suffering over all of this, knowing Imogen, she would have wanted her to forget.
It's kind of funny, both pigtail girls would have made the same decision.
Yep.
Yep.
Couldn't she have undone it? She could have. Could she have undone it? Can Ritsu undo the memory wipes?
Ritsu's memory wipes work in two different ways. There's the little wipe to help you forget, like, quickly in a fight that wears off really easily. And then there's, I'm holding your soul gem against your will and putting all of my focus onto it. If she really, really focused and really, really wanted to, she probably could undo it. But the big key here, we have a rule in Midori Magica, and it's not necessarily canon in Madoka Magica, but we've found evidence to prove that it should be.
I'll be right back.
Sure. We found evidence to prove that it should be, but it's never clearly said. For girls who have long-term powers that, like, last for a while, like Ritsu's memory wipe, if that person were to die, their power goes out too. And when I say die, I mean Shattered Gem or Witch Defeated. Turning into a witch does not count. So my thought with that is, if Ritsu were to have died, Haruka would remember. That's just the undoing of the powers. Keep that in mind. It does play an important part in our story, and time. Like, when timing of events is so important, but undoing of effects is very important. That plays a role. So note it. But yes, Ritsu hates what she did. But if she were to undo it at any point, who's to say that Haruka wouldn't just flood back with the feelings again? Ritsu's stuck between a rock and a hard place. She has to make that call in order to save her friend. Really sucks that Haruka has Ritsu has bad choice in friends, because she met her this day and she's already having to save her on multiple occasions. Yeah, I see all the faces in the chat. I guess we're back to Petals ASMR. Do you like this? I'm kidding. How are you guys doing on the stream? Do you guys have any last minute questions? I'd put them in now because we're wrapping up the Q&A section. After that, once Ekho gets back, we will be done with Q&A, and we will have moved on to final segments and wrap up. So, put in your final thoughts now. Yes, Cam, I highly agree. We like to go on the border of morals. Like, is it right? Is it wrong? We love to walk on that line. It's one of our favorite things to do. We like to make you rethink what you would have done. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But, oh yeah, Quikachu? You can go ahead and ask, but we may not be able to answer it.
Hello.
Welcome back. I told them to put any last final questions in the chat if they want to.
Yeah. How do you make your RP story not completely flop? You need passion.
Yeah. If you're talking about how to get it out to people, my number one recommendation is go to your fans. Don't make them come to you. Like we said, where are you guys reading? They said Wattpad. We went to Wattpad. A lot of our Scratch people said, we're on Scratch, we can't go to Wattpad. We brought it to Scratch. Go to your fans. Get it out there. Be open to critiques and advice, but know your story. You know your story more than your fans do. So if they're suggesting things that aren't necessarily fitting to your story, know that it's not, and know how to take it from there. But as Ekho said, be passionate.
Yeah.
Sketchy Miros asks, how much did Ritsu's abuse change her thought process? A lot. She used to be just this happy little, wanna play with her older sister. Let's go play, let's read our comic, let's do that. She didn't have a stutter beforehand. She didn't have the learning disability. She was just a happy little go-lucky child. But then fire happens and abuse, and she forms a stutter, a learning disability, and she's not very good socially.
Yep.
Yep. Flora and Fauna asks, did Haruka get her head bow from anywhere?
I don't know. It's just Ned gave that to her as part of her design.
Yep. And what are the two girls' favorite colors? Do you have a guess?
Imogen is probably red.
Probably.
And Haruka, I don't know. I can't give a good guess for Haruka because she didn't always belong to me. So
my best guess for Haruka is Haruka was a lot like Ned, and Ned's favorite color was an orange.
yeah.
So my best guess would be orange.
Yeah.
Alright. Are you ready to move on to the final segments?
Yes, the final segment. We're in the home stretch.
Home stretch, home stretch! Alright. Bloop. We have some exciting announcements for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You ready? I'm gonna flip to the next one.
Yep.
Bloop. You wanna go first?
Sure. So, for all of you who have been asking and begging and constantly pestering about when the next installments are coming out, take this.
Merry Christmas!
Ia de la Luna and Revival will be releasing very close to one another. They will be following post schedules like Revolt and Foresight, one chapter per week until the book is finished. They will not be like Deceit, where it's 2 chapters at once. They will not be a single chapter or a single post for the entire book. They're going to go 1 chapter at a time. Ia de la Luna will start August 7th. Yep. Revival will start August 8th. There are further release information is still to come, yep, such as like what the posters are going to be and what the times are going to be for each chapter post. But for now, this is what we have for you. Ia de la Luna will be Wattpad only, as we have stated numerous times. That one will not be coming to Scratch under any circumstances. So I'm very sorry to our Scratch readers, but yeah, no, I'm not butchering that story.
Nope. If we were to bring that to you, it would literally just be a blank page.
And Revival will be coming to Scratch, probably following a similar format as the
other books.
Revolt book. Yeah.
As you notice, as you've noticed from the dates, they'll be airing together. So just because Revival's coming out doesn't mean you can just diss Ia de la Luna. I promise you, it's really good. Both of them are. You should check them both out.
If you enjoyed Deceit and you like my writing style, and you want to know Xenia and Mitch, then read Ia de la Luna. It is literally some of the best writing I have done in my life so far. I'm so excited to drop it. Yeah, please read it.
I second that.
Please read it.
So please
read it. Sorry.
Yes, Masking Baby. Ia de la Luna does translate to Daughter of the Moon. So if you couldn't tell by the translation and the fact that it says it right there, this all focuses around Runa's backstory and why she acts so mysterious and where she's coming from and stuff.
And Xenia will be in it.
And all you Xenia simps, Xenia. The big thing I would say about Ia de la Luna, I know a lot of you know that Ned, who is the main author of Midori Magica, the one who brought us all together, she passed away. But her favorite character of all of the Midori Magica characters was Runa. And that is why we think that this installment is so important. So if you want to know more about Runa and you want to help carry out Ned's legacy, and you love Ekho's writing, and you're a Xenia simp, these are all great reasons to go read it. August 7th, baby.
Yes, Bowman. I'm okay. I was just joking. Don't worry about it.
As for Revival, if you want to know the end of Midori's story, so the final installment, the final book to the trilogy, the very last thing of all of Midori Magica, this is where you need to be.
Sorry, Masking Baby just said in the chat, my girlfriend turned into the moon, and then Inky Soda says, that's rough, buddy.
Sokka from...
yeah, Avatar references.
Avatar references. So yeah, that is these. You finally have the date. As Ekho said, more information will come out as we get closer to the date. So be excited, be on the lookout. We'll have more information on the Discord. If you aren't on the Discord, you totally should be. We'll have updates elsewhere as well. But that is the first place we go to, so you should join the Discord. Alright, you ready for the last slide?
So, you all are probably thinking, oh, I'm gonna have to wait 2 whole months for more Midori Magica content? That's gonna suck. What am I gonna do every Saturday? Well, we have a little something for you to tide you over.
Yep. Alright. Bloop. Here it is. Puella Magi Midori Magica Web of Lies. I am so excited to share this with all of you. Here's the poster. I've put my heart and soul into this poster. I love them. I'm like just waiting for the chat to see their reaction to the poster. I'm so excited. So here, of course, if you are unfamiliar with these characters, you have Charlotte in the middle, you have Tabby on the right, and you have Kate in the front left. If you want to know why Charlotte does what she does, if you want to know where on earth Tabby is during Revolt, if you want to know what on earth happened between Kate and Haruka, here's your answer. All of it is in here. All of it. On June 12th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be dropping the entire book. Just here it is. Merry Christmas. All yours. You are free to read it however you want. It is our longest quote-unquote book, but we do not consider it to be an official installment.
It is canon, but we don't consider it to be an official installment.
It is canon, but the only reason really we don't consider it to be one of the main books is because, as you see here, it says this is the raw book.
Yep. It's not going to be beautifully edited.
Nope.
The chapter lengths,
Ridiculous.
I can't speak, are not going to be consistent.
They're ridiculous.
There are going to be spelling errors, there are going to be typos, there are going to be like little issues. Do not call us out on every single one. We will ignore your comments.
What I want to say here is, I remember seeing a while back, a lot of people were like, oh, editors, who cares, you know, like, we just want to know who the authors were. When you're reading this, you're going to see all the typos. You're going to see all the, wow, that was terrible phrasing. What on earth were you trying to say, Petals? You're going to see that, and you're going to realize, oh, this is what Ekho has to deal with. I want you guys to see all the hard work that we put in. This is the raw. There is no chapter art, there is no fan art, there is no special editing. This is just the raw writing, all for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you all so much. Oh my god.
It will be releasing June 12th, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Wattpad.
Yep, it is Wattpad.
Mm-hmm.
I will say it is our longest book by double of Foresight.
Mm-hmm.
It is over 200 Google Doc pages, all written by me. Hooray! It answers a lot of questions. Now, I know a lot of you, I don't know how many of you are planning to read the entire thing, but I know a lot of you are rolling your eyes and going, 200 pages, why, Petals? Why did you write 200 pages in a backstory of a not so important antagonist that we don't care about and we all hate? But I promise you, in the introduction chapter, for once, we have something incredibly important in the introduction chapter. We always have something important in the introduction chapter, but this time you should really check it out if you're very not into reading. We have an index. So for all the important chapters where important things happen, I have labeled them so you can skip to the parts you want the answers for. That way, if you're only in it for certain questions that you want answered, you can get those answers without having to read all 200 pages. Because I'm not gonna hold you guys like hostage.
Also, Mashing Baby asked in the chat, fan-made chapter art? No, there will be no chapter art for Web of Lies, whether done by canon authors or fan-made.
But I will say, this is a huge passion project of mine. Art of these three characters or any other characters in the story. I have favorites, okay? See little Miss Purple on the right here? Hi, my favorite OC of all time right now. So any art received, although it will not be canonical or fan or put in, just know that I love it. We love all the fan art we receive, but goodness, oh my goodness, these three are like special to me. I love them.
Yeah.
I'm so happy with how the cover turned out.
The cover looks amazing. And I believe someone asked in the chat, no, this is not lineless art. There are lines here.
Yeah. I aligned it myself. I made it in Adobe Animate, the most terrible program. It killed me. It killed the program. It almost killed the computer. I hope you like it. I hope it's not too, odd. It will be going on Toy House, so, you can see the full quality.
Yep.
Alright. Is that everything?
I think that's everything.
You guys have gotten your questions answered from Deceit. You have seen some awesome art. We've gotten to talk to Ekho about all of her thoughts on Deceit. And you've gotten some awesome announcements of when the next installments are to come, and you can look forward to them. We are so excited that you guys all came. Thank you so much for being here. Let me go ahead and move over to Bloop. Oh, you can see my little thing. Ending soon. We can't do this without you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for attending. Thank you guys so much for doing fan art, for being supportive, for being invested, just being really cool people, because this community wouldn't be half as cool without you guys.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. don't get me wrong, I have a huge love for these books and the characters in them, but it's the people's reactions that really, every morning when I wake up at like 10:20 for posting the Revolt chapters, or 11:20 in the morning for posting the Deceit chapters, which to me that's early because I stay up late.
Night owls for the win.
Yeah, it just, seeing people's reactions to each and every chapter is so cool, and seeing the fan art that we get is amazing. And just, if you had told me like 3 or 4 years ago that I hadn't that I would be like getting to be a part of something like this, I wouldn't have believed you.
It's crazy because you helped create this community. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know.
If Ned were here, she'd also 100% be thanking you guys. So thank you from all of the Midori Magica team. You guys are amazing. We definitely hope you enjoyed the stream. I know I did. How about you, Ekho?
I certainly did.
Do you feel good knowing you've completed your book?
Yeah, and I'm just so excited to start releasing here. This one's one down, one to go. The best stuff is yet to come. That's all I'm gonna say.
And one last shout out to myself.
Yeah.
I will say you should definitely check out the links in the description to Ekho's PMVs, to the Deceit project if you haven't checked it out. But if y'all are doing art fight and y'all read Web of Lies, I got some of my Web of Lies chicks up. Come at me.
Yeah, come at us, Artfight 2021.
Yeah, come at us. We're excited. We're not just here for the funds and the Midori Magica. Come at us for art. Let's go. We're excited. All right. You have your dates marked. We are excited to be here. So
More announcements in the future.
Yep, so stay tuned. We'll have more streams for Web of Lies and for other things. So stay tuned for all of that. And don't forget.
I won't forget. None of you should forget.
That being Maguka
is suffering.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.